Oh, hi there. We're going to do something really exciting today. So this pot right here had an amazing passion fruit vine in it. Amazing. Let me show you what's left of it. So what's left of it is, see that little nubbin right there? That's all that's left of it. It starts, oh, look, the cat's going to help me. He's sitting right where I'm going to put this. I need two hands for this job. River. Okay, we're going to get River out of the way. So, in our retirement, we built a greenhouse. You're in my greenhouse right now. This is my cat River. He is very athletic, very curious. Oops, there we go. My phone got jacked up. And super affectionate when he wants to be affectionate. He doesn't like being held very much. The greenhouse is totally his domain. He loves playing Jungle Kitty. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about passion fruit plants. So, we planted this vine in this pot outside in July of last summer. And the vine grew like mad. We actually put the ribs to an umbrella in the pot, and it grew up like an umbrella. And it was amazing. And it set fruit, but it has a little bit of a longer growing season than we have here because it's actually a zone 10 or 11 plant. And we are zone 5. And what those zones mean, for those of you who aren't retired and don't spend all your time thinking about agricultural zones, is basically how cold it gets and what's your growing season. And here in zone 5, our ground freezes, and our growing season is usually between May and October. In zone 10 and 11, your ground never freezes, and your growing season is all year round. So you could put this passion fruit in the ground in a zone 10 or 11, and it would grow outside and be perfectly happy. That's not the case here. We have to bring it inside in the wintertime. Do you see this pot? This pot is gigantic. It's very heavy. It takes 2 people and a dolly to get it inside. So last summer, we brought it inside, and during the winter, it went a little dormant. We never got to eat any of the fruit. It never ripened. It just kind of got all squishy and rotten. The chickens loved it, though. They didn't care at all. They had a great time with the passion fruits. But this spring, it came back to life. And if you've ever seen the movie, what's it called? Little Shop of Horrors, Audrey 2, who just grows and grows and grows and grows, that's what this passion fruit did. I'm giving you all this history because this is really important. So we fell in love with this. And I don't know if you can see. Can you see? I have put hooks all over the rafters of this greenhouse because this vine will send out tendrils that are 20 feet long. And so it just had filled the whole corner of this greenhouse. And now here's the sad part of the story. We went on vacation. Someone watched the plants for a week, and passion fruit are very, very thirsty. And I explained, she needs 6 gallons of water a day. Seriously, 6 at a minimum. She didn't get it. And we came home, and she was dead. You saw the little dead part. And it was a mess to clean up. So I pruned all of it, cleaned it all up, and I got online, and Amazon doesn't pay me to say this, but one of my favorite retailers, because it's shocking the beautiful plants you can buy on Amazon. I bought this on Amazon from a company, I have my paperwork, what's that? Emerald Goddess Gardens. They got really good reviews on Amazon, and this is by far the most well-packed plant I've ever bought from anyone. It was in a box exactly the right size, and you can see nothing happened to it while it was being shipped. It was packed beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out the old stubbin, make a hole, and put this new baby in there. And this is another year's worth of work because she's not going to get very big this year, and she's probably not even going to set any fruit. And I don't know why I'm calling it a she, but some plants are she's, some plants are he's. Most of my plants are she's. The cat's a he. So there's the masculine inspiration in the greenhouse. So I'm going to stick her in the ground, and she's going to grow up until probably about October. And then she's kind of going to go dormant because we keep it warm enough in here that she won't get hurt, but it's not going to be warm enough for her to grow. But I wanted to tell you this story. So if you have an indoor spot that is very sunny, like you need southern exposure that gets sun all day long, and even then you might need to put a high intensity discharge light over her, this is an amazing plant. I'm going to show you my paperwork. You can see how pretty this is. You can Google passion fruit. It's a beautiful plant, and the fruit is delicious. And even the ones that didn't fully ripen, I tasted. I was like, oh, if this was ripe, this would be amazing. So today's retirement job. Oh, you know what else? Wait, I'm going to tell you one more thing. Hang on. These Emerald Gardens people, oh, the cat's helping now. That's why the camera's moving. He's sitting on the stool where the camera is, and he's trying to knock it off. They sent me an extra plant. This is also a Zone 10 plant, but if I put it in my greenhouse, it'll be fine. Gets 2 to 3 feet tall. I forget its name, but it has little yellow flowers. So I'm going to put it in an appropriate size pot. I'm going to have to pick a pot. This is going to be tough. And I'm going to let it grow out here. Wait. Ah! River's such a helper. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, that he's being such a helper. I may have to give up on the camera on the stool. Here, let me grab him. So I'm going to put this in a pot also. I'm going to throw the cat on the ground again. River, why? Why? I know. If I make him unhappy enough, maybe he'll leave me alone. I'm not being cruel to him. This cat can take it. He's a little furry. So, passion fruit. Can you see? I have the most amazing garden tool ever. Let me get closer with this. Cat's still helping. This is a garden knife. It has a handle, it has a scabbard, it has a very sharp side, it has a sharp tip, and it has a serrated side. And if it weren't so dirty, you could see it's measured. If you're going to plant bulbs, a garden knife is a fabulous thing to use to plant bulbs because it goes right into the dirt. If there's any roots, you're just going to cut the roots, like little hair roots, bigger roots. I mean, if you have huge roots, you might need this thing. It's called a root slayer. And I already tried getting the passion fruit out with this, and apparently it has a really nice long taproot. We're going to see in just a minute. I went all the way around. It didn't budge. So I brought my root slayer in. So I've already tried this one. You know, my philosophy is you always start with the least aggressive thing and you work your way up, because you don't want to go too aggressive if you don't need to. Same thing with stains. Oh, cat. He doesn't care about my situation. Let's move this. All right. There we can see that. Oh, this is a better view anyway. Fantastic. One of these days I'll learn how to edit these. I know I promised that in the last video and I haven't done it yet. And I have cat hair all in my mouth. Stains. Start with water. The least aggressive thing possible. A little water, a little rub. I digress. We're talking about passion fruits today. But then you move up from that. And if you know what your stain is, you can use a specific thing that'll get rid of that stain. So if you have an oily stain, there's a product called Lest Oil that's fantastic. If you have a blood stain, hydrogen peroxide. So you can go right to the thing if you know what the stain is. If you don't know what the stain is, start with water. If it might be blood, move to hydrogen peroxide. Sometimes rubbing alcohol will take out a stain. And so I just work my way up. Yeah, cat hair. So I'm going to go straight to the root slayer to get this old passion fruit out. And I'm not going to keep looking at you. I'm not going to keep talking at you because I need to focus on what I'm doing. Hopefully you're going to be able to see what I'm doing. So here's my, oh yeah, it is in there. Oh my gosh. Oh, do you hear that? That's roots. This is an awkward way to use a shovel. I don't have much leverage. Let's see if we got it. We didn't get it all. But, oh, there we go. I'll take my little shovel out, set it aside, and show you what I have. So, I've chopped off a whole bunch of roots. The roots that are left in there, this is my philosophy. This may not be correct garden philosophy. It's mine. I'm pretty sure, since they're dead, they're just going to break down in there. And they're relatively small roots, and I don't think they're going to cause a problem for this new baby to send out her roots. I don't think so. That's my philosophy. But just to be sure, I'm going to take my root slayer and I'm going to chop around in there a little bit. So whatever roots are in there are in very small pieces, and this new baby can use her roots to push those out of the way if she needs to. I really should throw these away right away because the surface that I'm working on to put things down is the hot tub, and Roger loves his hot tub. He does not appreciate when I put dirty things on it, so don't tell him, okay? I'll be in trouble. Oh, and look, I didn't even notice this. They've labeled this. They've got my name on it. They've got the name, the SKU, and how many there are. Like I couldn't tell. So, come over here with me. Now I'm going to use my garden knife. Oh, wait, I lied. I'm going to do a little chopping. Are you enjoying this? Is this fun for you guys? While I'm doing this, what I would like you guys to do in the comments is if there's something specific you want me to talk about, that you want to learn about, just tell me in the comments. I look at all the comments, I read the comments, I comment on the comments if it's appropriate. So there we go. I've chopped things up. My little steaks have moved a little. Now we're okay. Roger put those in. Oh yeah. And the soil that is in here is a mixture of good garden soil and a little bit of sand. The sand helps with the drainage. Oh, this is fabulous. And you want to use good garden soil. Don't use peat. It is a non-renewable resource and we're running out of it. You can get sphagnum peat moss, that is renewable. Don't get peat that is dug up from a peat bog. I just learned this recently, so this is advice to all of us, because we want to maintain our peat bogs. They're habitats for all kinds of things, and if we take all the peat out, then the habitat is no bueno. So, plant, you don't have to be, oh look, it came right out. It didn't even care, just came right out. And if you're fancy, you can wear gloves for this. What I have discovered is I have never used a pair of garden gloves where the dirt doesn't get through the seams anyway and get dirt all under my fingernails. So whether I wear gloves or not, I have to clean under my fingernails later. Gloves are good if you're digging in soil with which you are not familiar. You didn't put it in the pot, and there might be glass or pieces of metal or sharp rocks. Then you're not caring about how dirty your fingernails get. You're caring about whether you slice your finger open and get a bunch of microbes that might cause an infection. So then gloves are good. But all I'm going to do is take my fingers, I'm going to make a little hole, I'm going to put my little baby in there, make a little hole, put my little baby in there, there we go. Baby is in there. I'm going to push the soil down around her so that there are no air pockets. We don't want air pockets. Roots can't grow through air, which, another random aside, why an English edge is a fantastic edge. And now I have very dirty hands. Wash those off, we'll vacuum later. And now I'm going to get my watering can and I'm going to give her some water. I have a saucer here. We're going to, oh wait, this is the one. There we go. Saucer. Can we see the saucer? Let's go all the way down, and there's the saucer. And what I like to do is pour water in slowly until some of it starts showing up in the saucer, and then I stop. Because then I know my soil is evenly moist all the way through from top to bottom. And I will water her once a week and make sure the water goes all the way down into the saucer unless I notice that the surface of the soil is dry. And I will check every day because I'm a crazy plant lady. That's my situation. And you'll see in just a second, you'll see the situation. And if the surface looks dry, I'm going to stick my finger in there. I'm going to get dirt under my fingernail. I'm going to see. Dry down an inch. Okay, if it's dry down an inch, she's getting some water. That's what's happening. So crazy plant lady. Here we go. Here are all of her new friends. There's aloe. There's a sedum. This sedum blooms so pretty. Like, it just sends out, it's crazy. And then there's another kind of sedum, which is succulent, which is a jade. And then down here, I have another kind of succulent. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I don't need to know. She's so cute. And I have another kind of succulent that's variegated, that's super happy. Oh, and wait, look at this. This is Sansevieria. People call it mother-in-law's tongue. Or maybe it's an aloe. I'm not sure. I stuck the leaf in dirt, and do you see all the little babies coming up? What, babies? So excited. Okay, so That's tons and tons and tons of aloe. Then I have some Dracaena. And this is a variegated Dracaena. And this actually came, oh, thank you, Cat. The cat's so helpful. He loves to be in this. Here, we'll just let the cat be in it. There we go. Are you there? This Dracaena came from MJ. He bought some plants when he was staging a house, and they got left there, and there was no heat in the house. And I went back the next day, and they all looked super, super sad. So I took them all home, put them in the greenhouse, and tried to help them survive. And Dracaenas are tough, because even though they're tropicals, it didn't care that it got frozen. It grew. And this baby was, I don't know, she was tiny. And she's doing real well. She's doing real well. So what else do I have here that you want to know about? This plant right here, this is one of my favorite plants because her name sounds dirty, but it's not. This is I'm lying. This is not the one I want to tell you about. This is an amaryllis. Her name doesn't sound dirty. She usually blooms at Christmas time. She'll be green all summer. We'll water her, fertilize her. She'll be fantastic. And then behind me here, we have, this is a kokedama ball with an aloe in it. And all it is, ball of dirt, covered with moss, wrapped with string so it doesn't fall apart. And to water it, you just get a bowl of water, take it off its hook on the ceiling, sit it in the water. And because it's an aloe, it only needs to be watered like once a week, so it's no big deal. And this is my potting bench. See, this is River's domain. He runs the show. And in theory, the potting bench is for potting. But because I'm a crazy plant lady, it's also covered with plants that really don't belong there, but I don't have any more room for them. And then at the base of the potting bench, there's an ivy who's starting a new life, because I had a beautiful ivy, gave it to a friend, now it's dead. And this is the pot that it was in. So we're starting a new ivy and giving it a new life. Here we have another Dracaena, and next to it, this is actually a kind of ficus, also known as fig, and it's a creeping plant, and it's, because it's not in the ground outside, because I don't think it'll live, it is creeping on a piece of wood, this white stuff that I painted white. Wait, where's the wood that you can see? There we go, there we go, there we go. This is from a tree called contorted filbert, or Harry Lauder's walking stick. Fantastic specimen tree. They only get about 12 feet tall, and they're super contorted and twisty. They're just beautiful. And in the spring, they have these catkins like a birch tree has. Really pretty. Here's my pride and joy Dracaena. Giant Dracaena. See that? And just recently, let me see if I can find it. The second Dracaena I showed you in the green pot came from right here. I cut off the top, I put some rooting hormone on it, stuck it in dirt, and now these two little, what are called pups, are growing out of where I cut the top off. So we'll get even more branched and even more fantastic. And we have about 12 feet of ceiling height here. I think it's gonna hit the ceiling eventually. Behind me, look at that baby. This is commonly known as a ponytail palm. Ponytails and Dracaenas like the same kind of treatment. They like bright light, doesn't have to be direct, but it has to be bright, and they like to dry out almost completely between waterings. And my biggest challenge as a crazy plant lady is, River's just over here knocking stuff off, is he's like, flat earthers, this is how you know the earth isn't flat. Because if it were, the cats would have knocked everything off the edge. Those of you who have cats, you know this to be true. You know the earth is round because gravity works and cats can't knock everything off the edge. Back to Dracaena, and my biggest problem as a crazy plant lady. I overwater everything. I'm a nurturer. I want everybody to be happy, and for plants, I think that means moist. But it is not true, and I'm learning that different plants have different needs, and the best way to nurture some plants is to let them dry out. So my Dracaenas and my ponytail palms are doing so much better, so much. But over here, we have, this is a fantastic cactus, and this is actually, my son gave me this. It's a San Pedro, and apparently when it gets big enough, you can cut it, cook it, shred it, I don't know, and it's hallucinogenic. I don't think that's happening here. It seems like a lot of work, and really, do you want to see me hallucinating? It doesn't seem like a good situation. So, this is the one, and this baby, I have done the misfavor of watering too much. So, This is the clivia. And it sounds dirty when I say my clivia is blooming. But this brown spot, that's from too much water. Sometimes plants get brown like that because they don't have enough water. But I know who I am, and I know that's from too much water. This little guy over here, I read somewhere, so I'm trying to bonsai this because it's a tree, and I don't have room for a tree in here. And this is called a pistacea, and it produces mastic that is anti-cancer maybe. And I thought, oh, we should have one of those. I don't know what you do to it to get the anti-cancer compounds out, but look how pretty. It's so feathery, and like a sensitive plant, its leaves close up at night. So there's like nothing. And it's recovering from a hard prune, so it doesn't look as good as it could. And then there's a million little Sansevieria. Look at this little guy. I got this from my mom's house in Florida. Florida is zone 9, 10, 11, I don't know. So these guys have to stay inside. They can't go outside. And really, the whole reason for building the greenhouse was because we had plants all over the house. And watering was a real exercise in going up and down stairs and checking all the corners and remembering that you need to water all the plants. I'm going to give you one last over the shoulder. This pothos right here, someone dropped that off on my front porch because they couldn't get it to vine. There was a post in the middle of the pot, and she thought it was just supposed to vine up the post, but that's not how a pothos works. You have to wrap it around the post. And now it's completely insane. I've repotted it 3 or 4 times. It's in the biggest pot I own. It's not getting repotted again. And here, this is what I do on Saturday morning. I water the plants and I go through and, oh, a brown leaf. Let's get rid of that. I could spend all day. I have some kind of palm tree in here. If someone could help me with this, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's not happy. I'm slowly killing it. Another Sansevieria. This one's really tall, and it 1,000,000% needs to be repotted. I need to take it outside, tip it over, separate all the plants, and put them in separate pots. But then I'll have 30 pots of Sansevieria, and what am I going to do with that? I don't know. So a lot of these plants, when they get repotted, they go to the corner, and I post on social media when the corner's open. It's in Indianapolis. I'm going to try and do a better job of creating some days for people who want to come and see things by posting earlier, say opening on a Saturday. Shelves of plants. Shelves. Oh, and we're not done yet. Hanging plants. This one, let's see if we can show you. Oh, here it is. Look at that blossom. So pretty. And they smell delicious. And I've tried all the ways I know to preserve these blossoms. I hung them upside down to dry them. I put them in silica crystals to dry them. I put them in glycerin to dry them, and none of it works. They don't dry. They cannot be preserved. They just have to be enjoyed as is. Because when I put them in glycerin, they got all brown and squishy. When I put them in silica, they got all brown and dried up and terrible. And when you hang them, all the little blossoms just fall off and land on the ground. Wait, see? On the ground. That's what they do. But this Hoya is a fantastic plant, and there are starts of this in the shop too, and it really needs to be pruned and have more starts taken off. The one below it is a philodendron, but my favorite thing is the way the philodendron drips down onto the Wandering Jew, which is purple, and that green and that purple. Green and purple. Who knew? Opposite sides of the color wheel. That's what we do. Wait, there's more. More shelves covered with plants, and the tape is notes. And then there's plants down here, and there's plants down here. This is a fiddle leaf fig that I bought as a baby, and it's doing really, really, really well. Christmas cactus over here blooms every Christmas. I'm doing a good job on that one. This one here is super special. This is a jade plant that was growing in front of the Brady house. And so I picked up a bunch of pieces that had fallen off on the ground, put them in dirt, and now I have a little living memory of the Brady house, which is fabulous. This thing is Asparagus plumosa, and they are beautiful. They like a lot of water. They're my jam right there. Water you every day. You don't mind. And I have this one in an orchid pot, which is a really hard way to grow a plant that doesn't need to be in an orchid pot because the pot's full of holes. So I put landscape cloth in, put the soil in, put the plant in, so it gets a lot of air through the root and it dries pretty quickly, so it doesn't mind getting watered all the time. I wish I had a clivia blooming for you right now. Oh, wait. One's done, but you'll get an idea. These beautiful orange trumpet-shaped flowers. So like this one's at the end of its bloom, but this one's pretty good. That's what it looks like when it's good, right there. Look how pretty that is. And they tend to bloom all at once, and my guys lately have been blooming in January and June. That's what they're doing. I don't know why they're blooming twice, but it's super fun. Next to me is a little ficus, another ficus. I think this one's Benjamina, but I'm not sure. And one of my favorite things, look at this little tree stump. Tells a little story. There's a dog there. I don't know what the dog's doing there. And there's a little frog over here. See a little frog in a little house. And there's a sedum planted in the top of it that just strips down. I recently pruned the sedum, kind of tucked it all back in, so it's not looking at its greatest. So I have rambled for a really long time now about all the plants in the greenhouse. If you want a cutting, you should come to the corner because there are a lot of cuttings. And we just built this greenhouse ourselves. It's totally over-engineered. I painted the floor to look like tiles. I don't even want to show you the floor because it's so dirty. But I'm going to give you a little, let's come over here where there isn't a rug. And see? Quick look, because it's really dirty. And I was cheap. I didn't want to put tiles down, so I painted the Durarock, and there you go. So, as promised in my last, I was going to talk to you about my greenhouse. And I have really, really over-talked. I've over-talked a lot. So if you have questions about succulents or Christmas cactus or Dracaena or Sansevieria or what else have I got in here that I can talk about? Ficus. Got a lot of ficus. Ficus, whatever the creeping one is, whatever the one in the pot, and then the fiddle leaf is also a ficus. I do not have a Ficus elastica, which people know as a rubber tree plant. So if anybody wants to send me a leaf that I can start, that'd be fabulous because I don't have one of those and I want one. Enough rambling for today, right? You got to meet my cat, you got to see all my plants, you got to see my greenhouse, you got to learn about my passion fruit. It sounds kind of dirty too, doesn't it? I learned something, one more dirty thing, one more, that sounds dirty but isn't. I was at a work camp with a bunch of Christian youth groups and I had so much fun. And one of the girls told me the name for the skin over your elbow is your weenus, W-E-N-I-S. And that's a true story. I Googled her and checked it, and it is indeed called your weenus. So ladies, moisturize your weenus every day. Every day. You don't want a dry weenus. It's no good. See, it sounds so dirty, and it's not at all. Have a great weekend.